Hi everyone, we're going to do some English now. So the first thing I would like you to do is please write your starter into your books and then circle the word with the correct suffix for the past tense. Okay, so pause the video and you can have a go at that now. Alright, well done if you wrote danced with the suffix ed on the end. Danced is the past tense, but make sure you are using your ed suffix just like we've practiced in school. Well done. Okay, so this week in English we are going to be writing a newspaper report on an athlete at the Olympics. So I'd like you to just have a little chat with the person next to you, whoever you're working with, or you can just have a think. You don't need to write anything down for this one. And I know in history last week we started talking about the ancient Olympic Games and the modern Olympic Games. So hopefully you can use some of that knowledge in this lesson as well. So have a little think or a chat about why are the Olympics so special? Do you know any Olympic athletes? And do you know any Olympic sports? Okay, so pause the video and just have a little chat to see what you can remember about the Olympics. Okie doke. So in 2012, which I know most of you weren't born, I'm pretty sure most of you weren't born in 2012, which makes me feel very old. But the Olympic Games were held in London. In the UK, it was all anyone was talking about. I remember watching the Olympics. I actually remember finding out when we were going to get the Olympics here in London, and it was so exciting. Everyone was so excited, and the build up to it was incredible. And then the actual games themselves just took over. It was on every news channel. It was on every interview. It was always about the Olympics. And I remember sitting with my mum and my sister and watching the games and getting really excited and really enthusiastic in the finals of different sports and cheering our athletes on. And it was great because there was this huge sense of community across the country that I think everyone felt, really, because we were really cheering on and hoping that our athletes would do really well. And it was great. So athletes travelled from all over the world to come to London to compete, and people travelled from lots of different countries to come and watch and support their country through their athletes as well. So everyone wanted to know who had qualified or who had won a medal. So how do you think then that people would have found out what was happening in the arena? So if you didn't manage to get a ticket inside to sit inside the arena and cheer them on actually there then and there, how would the information have got passed on to people who weren't watching? Have a little chat. What do you think? Okay, so of course the news was a big one. It was always on the news. TV programs, a lot of it was sort of live streamed, or you could watch like highlight programs that would give you information. And of course newspaper reports. It was in the newspapers everywhere, with pictures plastered all over the front pages of our athletes when they'd done really well, which was great. So let's have a look at some newspaper reports from the 2012 Olympic Games and see if we can find out what we need in order to write a successful newspaper report ourselves. So this is the features that we're talking about. So talk to your talk partner or whoever you're working with if you're at home, and I'd like you to just pause the video and have a little chat. Actually, don't pause the video yet, I'll explain in a minute. Have a little chat about what you can see that's similar amongst these three newspaper reports and what is different about the newspaper reports. So on the next few slides, I'm going to put a bigger picture of each, a bigger sort of screenshot of each of these articles for you to have a look at. You don't need to actually read word for word each paragraph. I just want you to have a look at the overall structure of the different reports. And you don't have to write anything down for this. I'd just like you to have a chat or have a think about what's similar and what's different. Okay, so here is the first one. Again, you don't need to actually read these word for word. You can just have a look at the pictures and the structure of the writing. Here's the second one. Again, so pause the video so you can have a closer look. And the third one, so this first picture is at the top of the article. This is an online article. So it's quite long, which is why I've had to split it into 2 pictures. So you can pause the video to have a closer look at this one. Okie doke. So hopefully you came up with some things that were similar and some things that were different amongst those 3 articles. So for similarities, I found that they all had pictures. They all had a big bold heading. They all had the date that the report was written at the top. They all had a caption underneath the picture. They all had facts of the event that they were talking about. They were all written in paragraphs. They all had subheadings and they all had quotes. And for differences, the name of the paper, some were online and some were real life sort of newspapers. And some of them had adverts. We didn't see adverts in all of them, so that was a difference. Going back to the similarities, the date that the report was written, don't worry if you missed that one, and the same for the quotes, because obviously it's tricky to read because it's really small at the moment, so you're just going to have to take my word for that one, that they are all there. Okay, so I'd like you to have a little think. Do you think all of these features are important? Do these features need to be included in our reports that we write later in the week? Does it matter that some of the features are slightly different in the 3 reports? You don't have to write anything down for this, just have a chat. Okay, so this was one of the reports that we looked at. And I'm going to have a go at reading through this one paragraph taken from this report that you just had a brief look at. So try and follow along with me, but if it is too small, please don't worry because I will read it for you. So this says, athletics. 3-time Olympic javelin medalist and BBC sport pundit Steve Backley. Greg Rutherford's long jump gold. I know what he's been through and he's a lovely guy. Then there's the picture here and this says, Greg Rutherford becomes the first British man to claim long jump gold since Lynn the Leap Davies in 1964. Now bear with me, it is small on my screen as well. 6 years ago, he was second in the European Championships in Gothenburg, and I saw something in him then. He only needed to stay in shape and get it right once, and to do it on home soil was extra special. Greg has had so much bad luck with injuries, but this time everything seemed to go in his favour. With Dwight Phillips absent, Irving Saladino going out in qualifying, and Michael Watt not being able to get his run-up right. It was almost as if the long jump gods owed him something, and they repaid him with the biggest prize of all. And then at the bottom there it says badminton. Okay, so now we are going to have a look at this checklist up here to see if we could spot all of those features in this report, in this paragraph, and if there were any that we couldn't spot. So the first one is the big bold title. Now, whilst we can't see the big bold title in this picture, we can see the big bold title at the top of the whole report, which says, London 2012 Olympics, pundits give their greatest moments. So yes, we're going to tick that we found a big bold title. Then it says picture and caption. So we can clearly see a picture of the athlete. This is Greg Rutherford. And at the bottom it says, Greg Rutherford becomes the first British man to claim long jump gold since Lynn the Leap Davies in 1964. So that is the caption that explains this picture. Now, some of you might have noticed this little play button. This is actually an online report, so it may well be that this picture actually turns into a video as well. But for now, we're just going to take this as a picture. So we can tick that one. We did see a picture and a caption. This one says name of the paper. Now up here at the very top, it says BBC. So we know it's BBC, and it says sport. So we do know that it's the name of the company that created this paper was the BBC. So I'm going to give that one a tick. And then in teeny tiny writing just here above the picture of Mo Farah, it has got the date, and it says, I need to get my eyes tested, the 11th of August, I think, 2012. It's very tiny on that screen, but it does have the date that the report was written. The next one on our checklist, facts of events in paragraphs. Now we can clearly see throughout the report that it is written in paragraphs. It's got our chunks of writing. And from the section that we did read, it was full of facts. It talked about the different athletes that were taking place in the long jump, and the reasons like Dwight Phillips wasn't there, and Michael Watt wasn't able to get his run-up right. So they are facts about the event. So yes, we can tick facts of the events in paragraphs. Okay, subheadings. At the top of this section that we read, it says athletics, and at the bottom it says badminton. And we can also see on the whole report up here, it says archery. So those are the subheadings that tell you that that section of writing is about whatever the subheading says. So this top section would be about archery. This section that we read was about athletics. And if you carried on reading, it would go on to talk about badminton. So yes, it has got subheadings. And finally, quotes. So quotes are things that people have said, either about the athlete or about the event that the report is talking about. And up here it says, Greg Rutherford's long jump gold. I know what he's been through and he's a lovely guy. And it's got it in quote marks. So that tells us that it is a quote. Actually, this whole paragraph is in a quote mark, in quotation marks, because you can see the second quotation mark here, which tells us, yes, we can see quotes as well. So in some reports, they might just have short quotes. In other reports, they've got bigger quotes. Okie doke. Hopefully that made sense and you followed that along with me, because your task today is to complete the table below for a newspaper article. It says a range of newspaper articles, but we've changed it to just be one newspaper article as we've moved online. So you can either copy out the table that is on the screen. I've lost my mouse. Where's it gone? There it is. This table that we've just used, you can either copy this into your catch-up book, or if you've got access to a printer, I'll put it as a PDF underneath this video on the website so that you can print it out. And then this is your report that you're going to be reading through to find the features. So you can read through this report on here. On the next slide, I've got it in a bigger picture for you to access. Or of course you can open the PDF or you can print it out, which is the separate file underneath this video on the website. And then I'd like you to have a go at reading through it. So make sure that you are doing your best to do your best reading. All right, guys, don't just let mummy or daddy or whoever's at home read it for you, okay? And then once you spot these features, you can just tick them off into your book. If you don't spot them, don't tick them. Okay, so here is the picture for you. I'm just going to run through the mustard, could and might on the next slide. So if you want to, you can always rewind to this point once you've had the mustard, could and might. So you must identify features of a newspaper report. You should use the table to record the features that you find. You could write an example of the features that you find from the text. So underneath your grid, you could write the feature name and then an example of it. For example, the big bold heading, you could write what the big bold heading was. You might also want to write your own example of the features that could be used to improve the report. So if you think that actually the big bold heading was this, but I think it could have been made better if it was this, you can write your own example underneath. Okay, and then your plenary is to proofread your writing by reading aloud to someone near you. Okay, sometimes we forget to do this. So reading it out loud helps you think, does it make sense? And have I correctly included my capital letters and my full stops throughout? So that is your plenary and your challenge for today. Okay, I'm going to go back to this slide to finish on. Have a lovely time, have a great day. We've got science this afternoon if you haven't already done it. So I hope you're looking forward to that. And I will see you soon. Take care, bye.